Now at 7, new information about a deadly shooting at Milwaukee's VA Medical Center. The details that police have released overnight.
Plus, a new lawsuit takes aim at the local coronavirus restrictions aimed to keep us safe, while some argue that they go too far.
You're watching the CBS 58 News at 7 on WMLW.
Good morning to you. Thanks for joining us. We're taking a live look outside at downtown Milwaukee on this Tuesday, July 7th. I'm Mike Kirchhoff.
And I'm Megan Reisted. Pauline has the morning off. It is 7 a.m. It is hot out already.
Yeah, it sure is hot out already. Meteorologist Justin Thompson, this warm streak, this high humidity streak continues.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. No joke about it. It is hot. We're already at 78 degrees here in the Milwaukee area, so likely within the next hour we'll be in the 80s already. 72 in West Bend, Waukesha, 70 in Beaver Dam, Burlington. Everyone right now is in the 70s, so we're waking up to some very warm air. Hot and humid today, feels close to 100 once you factor in the heat index, and some more pop-up showers are possible again today, mainly during the afternoon. We're going to time those out with ReadyCast and look ahead to when we might get a little bit of relief this weekend. That's all coming up in Ready Weather in a few minutes.
Justin, thank you. We begin this morning with developing news. An investigation is underway after a deadly officer-involved shooting at the Milwaukee VA Medical Center. CBS 58's Andy Devine is there this morning with the details.
Police cleared the scene here at 4:15 this morning. This all happened, police say, at the east entrance here at the VA Medical Center in Milwaukee. They say at 8:40 last night, a man with a weapon walked into the VA property and was stopped by police outside of the east entrance. VA officials say police told the man to drop his weapon, but he did not drop it, and that's when police said the man threatened them with the weapon, and then they fired several shots at him. The man was hit, and he was taken to the emergency department here at the VA, where he later died of his injuries. Now the Milwaukee Police Department is taking over this investigation. At this time, the VA is not releasing any more information. We are trying to get that, though. For now, reporting here in Milwaukee, Andy Devine, CBS 58 News.
We're learning new information this morning about a deadly officer-involved shooting in Sheboygan. Now, this happened as the DOJ has identified the officer who fired the shots as Brian Prey. Police say he shot and killed a black man last Thursday who allegedly charged at him with a pair of knives. According to Sheboygan police, Prey ordered Kevin Ruffin to drop his weapons. Authorities say that's when Ruffin charged at Prey, who then fired his taser in response. We're told Ruffin continued to chase Prey, who then took out his gun and shot and killed Ruffin. Prey is now on administrative leave as state officials investigate. He's been an officer for the last 2.5 years.
Milwaukee's Fire and Police Commission must now find a new executive director. Griselda Eldretti announced she will not seek reappointment to her position, which a city subcommittee approved just last month. In a letter to Milwaukee Mayor Tom Barrett and the Common Council, Eldretti said in part, "The climate at City Hall today sadly puts a premium on political point scoring and conflict." She also expressed her concern that her confirmation hearing would become a spectacle and noted there is a threat to put a hold on her confirmation, which she called, quote, politically motivated. She has served as FPC director for the past 11 months and has been involved in a number of controversial Milwaukee police matters, including the investigation of Milwaukee police officer Michael Mattioli, who was charged with the death of a 25-year-old man. State Senator Lena Taylor, who ran and lost her mayoral race against Mayor Tom Barrett, responded to the resignation.
An executive director that is experienced is crucial. An executive director that is independent is more crucial. And so the real issue, if I could be honest, is not even the executive director stepping down. It's whether the mayor will stay out of the Fire and Police Commission.
In response to the announcement, Mayor Barrett said Eldretti came in at a hard time, made significant positive contributions, and says he's thankful for her service. Eldretti says she plans to remain in her position until a new director has been found and plans on helping with the transition.
And our coverage of the coronavirus pandemic continues. The virus has now claimed the lives of more than 130,000 Americans and infected nearly 3 million people. Health officials now say there's a more dominant strain of the virus circulating around the country. Officials say the strain appears to be spread faster because of a gene mutation, which makes it dominant. Health experts say this became the most common strain by the end of April. While the strain may spread faster than the original, it doesn't explain why America has so many more cases, hospitalizations, and deaths than any other country.
Well, you look at Italy. This is the dominant form of the virus in Italy. It was the dominant form almost from the very beginning. and things were very bad over there, and they have it under control. And the same is true for other parts of the world.
And fortunately, researchers do not believe the strain is any more dangerous, and typically treatment targets other parts of the virus, meaning the gene mutation should not have an impact when it comes to medical care. And turning to cases in our state, Wisconsin now has not reported any new deaths from the virus since Friday. Now they say, though, testing continues to be high for positive cases. In the latest report, more than 9% of those tested had been confirmed coronavirus cases. That comes off a weekend when more than 10% of tests were positive on both Saturday and Sunday. In Milwaukee County, more than 12,000 people have tested positive, accounting for more than a third of the state's total.
A group trying to sue to end local public health orders is asking a judge to stop the latest coronavirus orders in Milwaukee and Dane counties. Attorney Joe Volan represents more than 20 people trying to get the courts to intervene in local public health orders, which Volan says restrict private gatherings.
They are enforcing other rules. They're not enforcing what they have the authority to enforce, which is to forbid public gatherings, but they're enforcing rules about private gatherings. They're telling you that in Dane County, you can't have more than 10 people inside your own home.
His reasoning comes from the part of the order that limits mass gatherings in Dane County inside any property. Those are limited to 10 people or less. This isn't the only challenge to local health orders that's out there right now. Jim and Racine sued over the city's order and won. The city is appealing that decision, and while that appeal is going on, the order stays in place.
And around the nation, President Trump is setting his sights on NASCAR driver Bubba Wallace. The president is demanding he apologize and is accusing Wallace of perpetuating a hoax when a noose was found in his garage last month. Now, you'll remember it was later found that Wallace was not being targeted and it was a garage pull.
This was not a hate crime, and he believes it'd go a long way if Bubba came out and acknowledged that as well.
Now, Wallace responded to the president saying, always deal with the hate being thrown at you with love, even when it's from POTUS. Additionally, President Trump also seemed to defend the Confederate flag, saying NASCAR's recent decision to ban it, a move backed by Wallace, has hurt its ratings, even though they're actually up on several networks.
Meanwhile, a House panel is taking steps to remove racist statues from the U.S. Capitol. The directive calls on the architect of the Capitol to remove statues or busts that represent figures who took part in the Confederate Army or government. It also includes statues or busts of people with, quote, unambiguous records of racial intolerance. The House Appropriations Committee will vote on that proposal later in the week. That move comes as authorities in New York are investigating who's responsible for pulling down a statue of abolitionist Frederick Douglass. The Rochester, New York police found the statue damaged 50 feet away from its original pedestal. It happened on the anniversary of Douglass's famous "What to the Slave is the 4th of July" speech.
What comes from this? What good is this? Is this some kind of retaliation because of the national fervor over Confederate monuments right now? It's very disappointing. It's beyond disappointing.
The park it was in, Maplewood Park, was picked for the monument because of the link to the Underground Railroad. The creators behind the statue say they hope to replace it.
And people across the nation are sharing grief and outrage over the death of Vanessa Guillen, the soldier from Fort Hood, Texas, whose remains were recently identified.
She went into the Army, thinking it was a safe place for her to be there. And, the Army failed her.
And she'd been missing for more than 2 months. According to court records, Guillen was beaten to death at Fort Hood after allegedly telling specialist Aaron Robinson she would report him for sexual harassment. Guillen's family is accusing the Army of covering up the sexual harassment.
That grief is being felt here in Milwaukee, where 3 teenagers organized a protest and vigil in memory of Guillen. While the case did not happen in Wisconsin, they're hoping to catch the attention of Congress. For Daisy Espana, organizing such an event was about a lack of protection for those who protect us.
It's kind of upsetting because the people who are, protecting this country, you would think they would protect them, but obviously it wasn't the case. And it happened at her base. That's literally the safest place a soldier could be at, right?
The teens say they're already planning another similar event this weekend. We'll have those details released once they are out.
And now to a follow-up on the Twin Lakes officer and his favorite canine partner. Last night, the village board voted to allow Officer Joe Patla to keep his canine officer Rex. Patla is leaving for a new job, but wanted to keep Rex. The canine was brought home to Patla's family and grew up alongside him. The village originally voted to keep Rex. After an outcry of support for Officer Patla and the family and the community, he was able to keep his best friend.
Coming up, seniors can get their hands on healthy food today. Coming up, we'll speak to the executive director of Hunger Task Force about the need in our community and how you can help.